No matter what online platform you're using, search engine optimization or SEO is a must. Relevant keywords, quality content, and social media marketing are all important aspects of running a successful online business. But if you want yours to stand out from the competition and really rake in the dough, then be sure to follow these 12 advanced SEO strategies. There's no point in having a website for your business if no one sees it, so you'll want to be sure to take your time planning a detailed SEO strategy. And as you do so, you'll want to keep these 12 advanced SEO strategies in mind. Number 1, obviously, start with strong keyword research. Now, if you own your own website, you may not be tied down to any set-in-stone deadlines. Even so, most people find that it helps to plan out their blog posts or other content, and so it's highly recommended to dedicate ample time for research and brainstorming. So in addition to thinking about what you're going to write, you should also perform some keyword research before you actually start to write. Why? Because, of course, keywords are the driving force behind SEO. So when you sit down to do some keyword research, there are 2 ways to go. One option is to come up with some topic ideas yourself and then do the keyword research for that topic. Another option is to research trending topics in your niche and by your competitors, and then do some research to see which keywords offer the greatest opportunity. Now, there are plenty of free online tools that you can use to do keyword research, so be sure to take advantage of them. You're going to want to create a list of potential keywords and make note of their competition ranking and search volume. You want to strike the right balance between finding keywords that people are searching for and keywords that don't already have a ton of content. This is a skill you'll have to develop over time, but it will all start to make sense as you see how different blog posts and web content performs once you get around to doing a proper site audit. Number 2, take advantage of long-tail keywords. As you do your keyword research, you'll find that certain keywords have a great deal of competition. For example, if your blog or website is about fitness, and you type something simple like fitness advice into Google, you'll get hundreds of thousands of results. And you'll see the big names like Men's Journal and Self.com on the first page of the search results. Names that you can't possibly compete with, of course. So, how do you work your way into the first page of the Google search results? By taking advantage of long-tail keyword opportunities. Using fitness advice as an example, a long-tail keyword strategy would be a string of words that you put into the search bar to find specific information. And if you think about it, people probably aren't going to be searching for general fitness advice anyway. They'll be looking for advice about specific fitness topics, such as exercise motivation tips, or best workouts to burn fat, best workouts to burn belly fat. These longer, more specific search terms are called long-tail keywords, and they are one of the best tools you have for improving your SEO. Long-tail keywords have lower competition rankings while still having decent search volume. And that combination means that you'll have a much better chance of showing up on the first page of search results. Number 3, perform search engine results pages or SERP research for every post or every piece of content. If you do a Google search for 3 different topics, you'll find that the search engine results pages may look completely different. Some search terms yield a simple list of websites, while others include paid product ads, maps of local results, answer boxes, and more. If you want your website to rank well, you need to know what kind of SERP you'll be appearing on and then optimize specifically for it. The best way to do this is to try out different keywords, don't forget about those long-tail keywords now, you hear, and see what kind of SERPs pop up. Depending on what the results are, you'll have some idea of what kind of search terms yield which results, and then you can make your choices accordingly. Number 4, optimize all your images for SEO. When it comes to a strong SEO strategy, the wider you spread your net, the better. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean stuffing every single page with dozens of keywords. Instead, it means taking advantage of specific SEO opportunities to build a strong overall strategy. And the one thing you don't want to overlook here when optimizing your content is your images. Now, generally, while any website is all about content, you probably shouldn't solely rely on text for your SEO strategy. Every blog post or web content you publish should include at least one image, and it should be a good one. Depending on what topics you write about, images can do more than just break up big blocks of text. They can also demonstrate concepts and add quality to your content. So, how do you optimize your images for SEO? First, you should try to work your keywords into the image file name, then the alt text, and the caption text if you use it. The image file name and caption text are self-explanatory, but you may not be so familiar with alt text if you're still new to SEO. Alt text for images is simply a description of the image that can be read by visually impaired visitors using a screen reader. Your alt text should be an accurate and detailed description of the image, not just a list of keywords. But if you can work in your keywords naturally, then all the better. Number 5, make use of internal links to existing posts or pages. While linking to other posts or pages within your own site is good for SEO, these links unfortunately aren't quite as valuable as external links. That said, it's a good idea for you to do it so that you create a framework within your site that keeps your visitors around for as long as possible. So when planning a new blog post or content, think about the different posts, pages, and content that you could potentially link to. And don't just link to your most popular posts and pages either. Internal links can be an opportunity to boost traffic to content that is struggling to get attention. And when you create internal links, of course, be sure to use keywords for the link and use keywords for your anchor text. Number 6, update existing content to keep it current. The latest Google algorithm highly favors updated content, so don't think that once you hit the publish button that your work is done. You'll definitely want to revisit your old content once in a while to make sure it's still relevant and current, then make any changes accordingly to make sure you're keeping it updated. While you should do this for all your content if you have time, it is especially important for any content that appears on the second or third page of search results, so you can bump it up to page 1. When updating your existing content, there are a few different ways you can go. One option is to simply review the content and expand on some of your points. You could also beef up some of your claims with scientific evidence and an external link to the relevant scientific journal article, for instance. Or another thing you could do is add a section of quick tips at the end, or scatter fun facts throughout the piece. Just don't make the piece too cluttered or spammy with keywords. Number 7, write guest posts and obtain backlinks. As a blogger or content creator, you have the freedom to choose what you write about, and you can link to other posts on your site to increase value for your readers. What you really need to do, however, is get links from other reputable blogs or websites back to yours. This is called backlinking, and it's still an important part of any successful SEO strategy. But the million-dollar question, how do you do it? One of the best ways to get backlinks is to write a guest post for another blog. If you go this route, just make sure it's a relevant blog, one that is in the same or similar niche to yours. This ensures that the people reading your guest post will actually be interested in reading it and following the link to your blog or website, because they're generally interested in that kind of content. It doesn't hurt to write guest posts that end up earning you some attention from a new audience. And how do you go about getting a gig as a guest blogger? Just take the time to do some research to find other blogs that cover similar topics or that are complementary to your own, then simply reach out to the owner about writing a guest post. Once you get approval, take some time to familiarize yourself with the blog and with the kind of content they publish so that you can create a detailed pitch. And it goes without saying, dedicate yourself to writing quality content. Unfortunately, you'll probably find yourself dealing with a few rejections along the way, especially if you're targeting blogs with a high readership. But just stick with it until you're successful, and then do a good job on that first one so you can get more. Number 8, collaborate with influencers. The goal of SEO is to make sure that your content appears on the first page of search results, so that you have the greatest chance of reaching your target audience. While you should be optimizing your site for this target audience, you'll also want to expand your audience every opportunity you get. So in addition to doing guest posts, for instance, you should also think about featuring influencers in your niche on your blog or website. How do you go about collaborating like this? One way is to do an interview and write up a summary of that interview. You could also feature a quote from an influencer or use some of their content as a reference in yours. When you do things like this, look for opportunities to communicate directly with the influencers and see if you can get them to share your content with their audience. It's the age-old, scratch my back, I'll scratch yours approach. Number 9, experiment with different formats. If your content is cluttered and difficult to navigate, it simply isn't going to perform well. One of the main goals of SEO is to keep your visitors on your site for as long as possible. If your site isn't formatted well, visitors may become frustrated at how difficult it is to find what they're looking for, and then they end up leaving and going to the next result on the SERPs. Now, every website is unique, so the format that works for one may not work for another. But don't be afraid to experiment with different formats to see which one works best for yours. Play around with different elements like infographics, videos, images, podcasts, and more. Plus, trying out a new kind of content might inspire you or open up your blog or website to an entirely new audience. Number 10, consider creating a mobile app. Now, we're almost always talking about the importance of optimizing your website for mobile users, but you may also want to consider creating a mobile app specifically. Mobile apps work better for some applications than for others, but it never hurts to consider the possibility. You may even want to brainstorm some ideas and then sit down and talk with an app developer to discuss your options, as it's unlikely that you'll have the skills or the time to develop the app yourself. And while creating a mobile app is great, it can also be very expensive. But if you think that it will really boost traffic and open up your blog or website to a new audience, then it just may well be worth the cost and the effort. But if you aren't so sure, then be sure to take some time to examine other options for improving your SEO before you go spending a relative fortune developing an app. But if you have the money, a mobile app could be a great tool to have in your long-term SEO plan. Number 11. Perform competitor research for keywords. Before you write new content, you of course need to do your keyword research so that you know how to optimize it for SEO. In addition to doing keyword research for your own content, however, you also need to keep an eye out on the keywords your competitors are ranking for. Online tools can help you identify the top performing keywords for any given site, so you can always check up on your direct competitors as well as some of your lower level competitors. Now, what are you going to do with that keyword research? One thing you can do is try to steal that top slot on the SERPs for the keywords your competitors are ranking for. So if you notice that your competitor is ranking well for a low competition keyword and you already have some content relevant to that keyword, then consider making some updates to that content to further optimize it. You can also use competitor keyword research to identify gap areas where you might be able to slide into the top spot by writing a new post that is optimized for one of the keywords your competitor is not ranking well on. The options are endless, so take the time to familiarize yourself with the competition, including what they are doing well so that you can emulate it and improve on it with your own content. And number 12, complete an SEO audit. If you really want to make significant improvements to your website and its performance, then you need to know exactly what is working and what is not. You may already have some idea of what content is most popular, but have you recently completed an in-depth audit of your entire site to see where you have opportunities to make improvements? If not, it might be time. Generally speaking, an audit is an examination of your existing content and structure, which includes various metrics for its performance. An SEO audit in particular looks at those specific aspects of site performance which can help you create new goals for future content, in addition to providing guidance for how to update or upgrade your existing content for better search results. When performing an SEO audit, you'll want to look at how well each post or piece of content is optimized for keywords, of course, and whether those keywords are still ranking well. You'll want to make sure that your SEO meta titles and descriptions are completed and current, and you want to check your page URLs as well. Make sure that your image alt tags contain relevant keywords, and include both internal and external links in your posts as much as possible. So, these are relatively simple things that can lead to a huge boost in SERP rankings with minimal effort on your part. And now that you've learned about the top 12 advanced SEO tips to drive traffic to your website, all that's left for you to do is go implement them. Good luck! Feel free to check out our other videos so that you can keep fine-tuning and getting the most out of your SEO. And click subscribe to stay updated with new tips and tricks to get you to the top of the search engine results pages.